the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old. The pines were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night. The fire was red, it flaming spread, the trees like torches blazed with light.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus going with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the 6-inch version of the Hobbit's Thorin Oakenshield, the leader of the Company of Dwarves. As you can see, wonderful packaging still with all these figures. I don't get sick of the packaging on here at all. The background absolutely is fantastic. Very beautiful artwork. Nice kind of cool bubble. You've got a picture of the actor right here. You got the name, obviously. Flip it around here on the back. You got all the other current 6-inch versions of their characters. You got Bilbo, Gandalf, Tauriel, and of course Legolas. Got a little brief read up here on the young Prince Thorin himself, as well as a brief read up on the Hobbit movie as well. Now, I do have to say, my good friend Darth Devious actually informed me of this, because many of you know, I mentioned this before, I have not read the book for the Hobbit. I've obviously not seen the movie, but there's well, not really secret, but there's some interesting information. We'll get to it a little bit about these weapons that Darth Devious educated me to, and I find it absolutely fantastic and fascinating. But really kind of cool likeness. Again, I'm kind of concerned about the rigidness of the plastic. You got the long robes and coat here of Thorin, so I'm, like I said, very kind of concerned about how that's actually going to turn out. So we'll see, but let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Thorin opened up and out of its packaging. Now, when I was talking about the weapons, this is a dwarf weapon. I honestly don't remember much about it, but the one thing that I do remember my friend Darth Devious telling me is the sword of Thorin, actually. Now, this actually has a name. This is called, I believe it's pronounced Orcrist. Now, the neat thing about this is that this is actually the mate sword to Glamdring. The Glamdring is the sword that Gandalf uses, which basically means that they're like sister swords, kind of. And the really kind of neat thing is that Glamdring and Orcrist are all kind of like Sting, in the fact that when orcs are present, it actually glows blue. So this is, when I spoke in my 3 3/4 inch review about Thorin, I was like, this kind of looks like it's got an elvish design to it, and it absolutely does, because they're all crafted by the elves. These are one fearsome group of swords that pretty much command respect everywhere, and this is an absolutely beautiful representation. My only, I guess, complaint, as you can see, there's a little bit of a scuff mark here, which really does kind of suck. Get Thorin out of the way because I wanted to focus on it. I mean, you see this side, very nice. You got some, like, kind of silver marks on here, and you got some really nice kind of elvish design, but unfortunately, it's got these scuffs on here, which really kind of suck. But look at the hilt on it. Absolutely beautifully sculpted. But that's Orcrist. Now, I believe my friend told me that this is actually something specific as well. It's a dwarven weapon, it looks like. And you can really see the difference. I mean, this is a very kind of heavy, militaristic looking weapon, whereas this is a lot more elegant, much more like what an elf would do, whereas a dwarf would do something like this. This is, you know, if I'm not going to cut you, I'm going to hit you so hard with this heavy thing that it's going to knock you out. Whereas this is much more beautiful and flowing and just elegant by its nature. And then again, I absolutely love the holder for this particular sword. Just fits right in here. And then Orcrist just goes right inside there. Absolutely awesome. Now, one thing that's kind of weird, in case you're not noticing this, I'm going to point it out to you. It kind of looks like he's leaning that way, and there's nothing I can do really to fix that. It seems like that's just the way that the sculpt is going with him, and it's not a bad thing. It's just kind of funny looking because he's got this kind of lean going. But again, beautiful detail under the buckle here. You got the jacket with like the fur and such up on here. You got the under jacket. I mean, absolutely stunning looking detail on here. Maybe that'll fix it. No, that still hasn't fixed it. But I just realized that he does have waist articulation. You can rotate him. So this isn't nearly as bad as Legolas. Legolas obviously had a much longer kind of outfit, so it was a little bit more limited with him. Thorin actually has a little bit more posability. As I was talking about, some of the things that the design choices really do kind of hurt the posability. The design choice obviously here in having very hard, rigid hair. I mean, the hair is really cool because again, look, you got the gray hair going through here, but you cannot turn his head. That's it. So he's turning his head. And one thing that I've kind of noticed is this face, he kind of looks like my neighbor, my neighbor's boyfriend. Kind of, which is kind of weird, very strange. It's mostly the nose, it's the big nose, but the shoulders here will rotate forward, back. It is a little bit more limited again when you get up to full rotation, just because of the dress and everything. So it really does kind of hurt things there. The elbows here, pin and sockets, they move forward and back. They also rotate. One thing that I noticed though, he's got a hole here for that shield that he had, like the 3 3/4 inch one. He didn't come with that though, which is really kind of strange that they would even put that there and then not have the sword actually there, or the shield actually there. Very, very strange. And that kind of sucks, because I did like that. And clearly pay no attention to the past like 30 seconds of my ranting, because he does come with his arm shield kind of thing. It just fell on the floor and I didn't see it. When I went back and I was editing my video, I actually saw this in the packaging portion, and now I have to add this bit in here. But as you can see, it just pegs into the arm right there. You got a little peg right there, and you got the hole, and then it does look like wood. And it's kind of funny. It makes me wonder if his name is Oakenshield, because this looks like an oak shield. I don't know. Who knows? But really kind of cool. I really do, as I said, dig that. Really kind of gives a more earthy kind of feel to this character itself, but very kind of cool. The wrists are articulated, so nice range of motion there. The waist I showed you. The hips here, they will move forward and back. Obviously, you see that going on. It just depends on which way you actually get the hip up here to rotate. So depending on how you get it positioned is the way it's going to rotate. He bends at the knee, but this is really very stiff. And then he also rotates at the knee, and then the foot moves forward and back, and they also rotate. So again, posability limited, articulation fairly high on these figures, but you really can't utilize it because some of the sculpting on here. But regardless, this is still a wonderful looking figure. Now again, he's a dwarf, so he's going to be a little bit smaller, and I'm fiddling with his legs because he seems to want to rock a little bit. You really have to kind of twist things around in here to really kind of get a good balance for him to actually stand. But like I was talking about before, the scale here, obviously a dwarf is a smaller character, but a little bit bigger than a hobbit. So here is Thorin, and as you can see, he's about the middle size. I mean, you got Legolas, who is like a human, but obviously an elf, but in terms of size, that's about what a human is in terms of height. Obviously a dwarf is a little bit smaller, and a hobbit is even smaller, so you got a nice zoop scale going on there. Sculpt wise and paint wise, again, these figures are all masterfully done. They absolutely look superb. But much like some of the other figures, such as Legolas, the design choices for some of the stuff is a little bit more unfortunate. The way that he looks is absolutely stunning. This is a great looking figure. You just can't really do much other than just get him to stand there, and you can get some minor posing with him, but it's kind of limited again because of the way that the legs kind of stuck up underneath very hard plastic. Regardless though, beautiful looking figures. And for collectors, if you are going to be collecting these, and if you're a fan of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings and that whole mythos, Thorin is definitely a character who's going to be very important here in the upcoming trilogy for The Hobbit. Obviously, we know what happens with Legolas, and obviously we know what happens with Bilbo. And then, of course, Gandalf. So I'm really kind of curious to see what happens with Thorin, because he's a new character that we're being introduced to. But price-wise, at $15, I really cannot tell you that this isn't worth it. Without a doubt, this is a figure that would look good on anybody's display or anything of that nature. And once again, the Bridge Direct really has brought out a wonderful looking figure that just really displays exquisitely good. I'm very impressed with the work that they do. And the prices, as I said, very impressive. But that's about it, guys. There's your look at the 6-inch version of Thorin Oakenshield. And I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Keep in touch with me. Find out recent purchases as well as upcoming videos, all at facebook.com/teambotimus and twitter.com/Optibotimus. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.